Hi everyone, this is Zeno here, and this is the Glacial Cascade Pathfinder. So, long story short, I wanted to play a ranger that's a caster. I wanted to play a spellcaster. I was playing a lot of attack-based builds, so I made this build back in Harbinger League. I don't know if I made a YouTube video on it, but it was very successful. It was one of the last builds I made in Harbinger League, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready to bring her back. So, long story short, there was a lot of buffs on this character. This character is based around buffs, and they changed Glacial Cascade in 3.0 to do something really, really nice. So if anyone's ever played this skill a long time ago, it's been out now for nearly 4 years, hell. If someone played this a while ago, they changed it first and foremost to make it so it's not ground. It doesn't travel on the ground. If you notice here, it appears up here, so it goes through landscapes. It's coded to be traveling as if it's in the air. So you are not obstructed by terrain anymore. Like so, you can actually jump across. You could shoot it through like prison bars and things like dungeon. It is no longer traveling on the ground. It just looks like it is. So that's the first quality of life. The second quality of life this skill has received since it's coming out is the fact that it's a pure physical spell now. If you look here at Glacial Cascade, it says deals 318 to 477 fizz damage. I'm a level 17 one. Nice 20Q. But instead of making it cold and physical damage, they made it pure fizz with converted to cold damage. So it's 60% converted, which means if you get another 40%, you have 100% fizz to cold. You can also use fizz to lightning gem if you want to. There's very little reason to do that because as a ranger, leveling up alone, you can get the other 40% right here in the tree, which I did use for leveling. So when I was leveling up, I actually picked up this whole wheel and used it for damage and conversion sake. As I made it up here to the witch tree, I ended up getting the long winter. I have 2 of them. You have to purchase it, and it will convert the other 40%, 20% each, physical to cold. It also gives Glacial Cascade an additional burst, which to the best of my knowledge is like an extra hit. If you run like Conk Effect, this skill can hit 3 or 4 times because it shoots in like a swirling faction. It shoots like that. If I were to shoot it across the map here, really what it's doing is making this circular formation. And when you get an additional burst, sometimes based off of your area of effect, it can overlap onto a monster and hit 2 or 3 times. The burst guarantees an extra hit. To the best of my knowledge, I could be entirely wrong, and if someone understands this burst function better than I do, or just wants to correct me in YouTube comments, by all means, please do, and I will gladly upvote that and correct myself in the future video. With that said, here is my dagger. I actually need to take this enchant off because I'm using Elemental Overload, so the crit multi literally does nothing. So let's do that. I'm using one of those extra damage is cold, extra damage is lightning with some spell damage modifiers. And I plan to abuse that everywhere. So the reason why I chose Pathfinder is for this exact reason right here. Okay, apparently I can't take that off. Well, at least not yet. I don't have level 7 here. Level 7 here. Can't do it. Oh, no. Alright, I'll have to get level 7 Vague, whatever level he is at now. Glacial Cascade, because it's pure physical, scales really well with Hatred. So that's the first thing that I'm running in this build, is Hatred. The next thing I'm running is Herald of Ice, which is in my weapon. Oh, it's right here. Alright, so I'm running Herald of Ice, and I'm running Clarity. So Herald of Ice and Clarity take up about half of my mana, despite having Enlighten attached to them, and I'm using Essence Worm. So the Enlighten is trying to help counteract the Essence Worm, and Essence Worm gives me free Hatred. I am Mind Over Matter, so I need that open mana. Now, the reason I get to use Hatred as a spellcaster is because you get extra damage of physical, extra damage as cold based off of your physical damage. And besides the fact that it's converted all over to cold, it still scales off of physical damage. So Hatred gives us raw damage in this case. It's rare that Hatred will actually give you cold damage to his cold, 100% cold skill. But the physical makes it so that you can use gimmicks like this. If you can afford it, there's also Taste of Hate, which is probably BIS in this build, because it gives you extra damage as cold based off your physical and allows you to take reduced physical damage as cold and gives you max cold res to counter that. It's pretty strong. What's actually stronger is its Serious Promise. So a Serious Promise will give you physical damage, extra as chaos damage, and your elemental damage, which you convert extra is chaos damage. So Glacial Cascade double dips on this, and that's 35% extra damage is chaos. And I get life leech during that, as well as chaos res. The last flask that I need to replace is my Quicksilver, and that needs to be Sin's Rebirth, which yields Unholy Might, which is 30% of chaos damage based off of your physical. It works very well with the Series Promise because it does give me Chaos Leech. On top of that, the flask will give me an evasion percent. I am an evasion caster, as well as blind, which works well for an evasion caster. And last but not least, I have the Quartz Flask as my utility. So I'm running 4 utility flasks as a life-based, mana-based spellcaster. To recover both of those, I have a Catalyzed Hollowed Hybrid Flask of Staunching, which removes bleeding and gives me life and mana regen back faster, like at a ridiculous rate. So the reason why is, this is catalyzed, which means instead of 5.5 seconds, it's over 3.3. It's kind of nice. So the Pathfinder excels at giving you charges. You can pretty much have forever charges. In this case, whenever I kill something that's chilled, which is always, I get 100% flask charge gain, which means that if a monster gives 1, it gives 2. If it gives 2, it gives 4. If it gives 3, it gives 6. So in this case, I always get that, which means I'm near full flask charges. On top of that, I have a 20% chance not to consume them. Let's see. I didn't consume my series flask there. Oh, actually I did. It just didn't show the graphic very well. Oh no, I didn't consume it. I used it 3 times there out of... I'm only supposed to have 2. On top of that, all of the nodes in this tree are flask effectiveness, which boosts what all of these flasks do. So I actually get more damage, more chaos res, more leech, more preventative damage against physical, more extra damage as cold, more max cold res, more dodge and spell dodge. That's pretty nice. This guy here is just boosted movement speed, as well as I get some flask duration. I need to get flask duration here. I still have to pick up Alchemist, which is going to give me more flask effectiveness. And some people are even saying Druidic Rite, because it's flask charges gain and duration as well as mana percent. It's not bad, because I am playing a Mind Over Matter build. It does yield decent health. So I'm thinking about that. Unholy Might for now is what I'm really fiending for, is my last flask. In terms of gear, I'm still like really budget on my gear. I have 4k health with 8k or 800 unreserved mana, which is pretty decent for where I'm at right now. I'm level 74. These are both going to go up when I level. And hell, I'm about to pick up Discipline and Training over the next 3 levels. That's just 20% life with 30 flat, and then 1% regen. The level after that. I still have Discipline and, or excuse me, Devotion. This is Discipline and Training. I have Devotion pickup, which is Strength or Effectiveness, pretty nice. Endurance Charge. And I have a jewel here and here. So like for the next 10 levels, I have like definitely my points set out for me. And this is a non-crit build that utilizes Elemental Overload to its advantage. I don't actually pick up even most of the Shadow Tree. I feel like Force Shaper, Written in Blood, Cold Hearted Calculation's okay, but most of these aren't worth it unless you're going to pick up Doomcast or Assassination, or maybe even Growth and Decay. You need some kind of other reason. Otherwise, you're just spending a lot of traveling points for mediocrity. So the Pathfinder, in terms of gear, I'm still using Azenath because I have a decent Corrupt, and Temporal Chains on hit works very well with trying to freeze and chill things for extended periods of time, and it stacks well with it too, so it just makes them crawl like snails. I'm using it Series Promise because it's really, really insane for Mind Over Matter. I'm probably going to get an Ilar Dex with +1 Frenzy, and the grand scheme of things, when I get a perfect roll pair of boots. So I have an idea. Right now, my Orb of Storms is connected to Increased Duration, Increased Critical Strike Chance, and Arcane Surge. So, this build is a buff build. Whenever I press F, it is giving me Arcane Surge, and if it crits something, it gives me Elemental Overload. That's 2 buffs right there. I have 4 buffs from Flasks. On top of that, because I'm using Restless Ward, my Frenzy and Endurance charges do not expire anytime soon, a minimum of 22 seconds for Frenzies. That means I could juggle both Enduring and Rallying Cry. So I get 2 buffs from pressing F. I have 2 buffs to juggle here. I have 4 flasks I need to juggle here. This is Buff Finder more like. Forget Flask Finder. We're just like stacking buffs. And I have to find all sorts of odd ways to be able to use the auras I'm using while having open mana. And the build is honestly like, it's working out quite well on paper. In terms of mapping, I haven't done any T4s yet. I've only done T1 through 3, so I'll give you guys a quick map. a full explanation of the build because more people probably watch me for idea than they do actual gameplay. I'm going to be real about that. Alright, so once I have 3 endurance charges, I need to start rolling in Rallying Cry. That's what I tell myself. I have 3 endurance charges. I keep up Fortify also. That's another buff from Shield Charge. Alright, we have Rallying Cry going now, and we're popping our Flasks. So in terms of raw damage, I have a ton. Like, the damage of the Glacial Cascade is phenomenal, and you really don't even need to try with it. Lost my endurance charges there. There they are. They're back. Let's drop that. Keep up Arcane Surge and EO. Battleborn. Okay, I'll take it. Volcano is my favorite T4 map. You can either choose to shape it or not. If you choose to shape it, you probably will be getting a higher experience per hour because it's a T9, but more importantly, Combs Heart's cards drop here. Both the Corrupted Chest Piece and the standard just Combs Heart card. They dropped here, so this place is amazing for farming both T4 and 9. This is my favorite one to farm, in fact. I ended up getting this map from doing the 3-to-1 recipe. This is currently what I shape, so I forgot what tier 3 map turns into Volcano, but I told myself, just sell all your tier 3s. It's not even a decent tier. You have Iceberg, which is shaped, and then the rest of the T3s you can run when you need to, but if you get 3 for 1, turn it in if it gives Volcano. At least that's the approach I've been going. Okay, gotta keep up my endurance charges. Fortify is, can't forget it. There's no reason to keep it up, sadly. It's just how it is. Fortify is, GGG kind of put themselves in a corner by making Fortify. They made it so you can only get it using a melee skill or pick a champion. And the sad thing about that is if you use a melee scepter or a staff, you can keep it up, mostly scepter. And spellcasters get a huge advantage now, whereas bow characters still can't keep up Fortify unless they decide to roll a champion. Same thing with Wanders. So it's like, I mean, do Wanders really need more? I mean, potentially, yeah. They do get like Hoside, which is already amazing. But we're definitely at a point in Path of Exile where it's like, if you could get a buff, get a buff. And it's intended to be mainly used for melee builds, but what they really did is just make it used for everybody else. I mean, that's just the sad truth. Melee definitely will take advantage of Fortify. There's zero reason to never have Fortify as a melee build. You have, if you're a melee build, you're running a melee movement skill, you're getting attack speed, zero reason not to have Fortify up in the current state of Path of Exile. As a spellcaster, using a scepter or dagger is generally speaking, or even a claw now, you can roll decent claws. It's pretty much better than using a staff. If you're using a staff, you're reserved to Leap Slam and Charge Dash. Charge Dash is probably better than Leap Slam in most cases, because then you're not caught in animation. It's definitely interesting how the meta has gone. So in terms of damage, my build's fine. I'm just low level, so I'm just doing low level maps at the moment. No reason for me to go above and beyond. And I need to replace like 2 or 3 pieces of gear. If you want to see my gear, or my live stream to watch this in the future, I do stream this full time. You guys could tune into my Twitch channel, which is linked below. And also, you could look down there, you'll see a link to my profile, so you could check out what gear I need to upgrade. Like I said, I'm still using Asenath, but hey, Asenath is okay. It's kind of bad against this boss because you can't curse totems, but hey, that's alright. You can get Elemental Overload and all those other goodies from him. Alright, this should be the boss right here. This is just full frenzy charges. The real reason I wanted to use Restless Ward in this build is because of the fact that running up to a boss with 20 second plus frenzy charges is massive, and it also gives you another reason to use Ice Bite. I'm using Ice Bite in this skill, which generates frenzy charges for killing a shattered enemy, and that's actually really insane. The fact I don't have to use Blood Rage, so I save my life and mana regen. You know, I am a Mind Over Matter build, so Blood Rage would go against my mana. I don't have to fight that consistent 4% entropy. From now on, I just leave it as is and generate frenzy charges through a support gem, which is worth it because it gives freeze chance as it is. Love it. It doesn't scale well off of flat phase, but it's okay because it gives a bunch of cold. Anyways, that's all I really have to say about this build. I'm at more than 50, which means I left an alcove back here somewhere. Yeah, over here. So I'm going to go clean that up now. I want to say thank you for tuning in, everybody from YouTube. I appreciate you guys coming by and watching out my interesting theory crafts. Again, the Pathfinder works well because you do get extra damage and penetration here. Building around your Flasks is really strong for Glacial Cascade. There's zero reason not to use it. Serious Promise, Taste of Hate, Sins of Birth, Wise Oak. Any of those will work well, which makes Pathfinder huge. And the fact that you could still boost your Quartz Flask to give you around 13+% dodge and spell dodge instead of 10. You can even probably get that higher if you spec around it appropriately. My last node will be movement speed, attack speed for my shield charge. And Flask duration, Flask effectiveness is huge as well. So thanks for tuning in. This is the Acrobatics, EO, Mind Over Matter, Glacial Cascade Pathfinder. Again, if you want to come watch me do this live today, I will be on my Twitch most of the night after class. This is my before class stream. So I'm live streaming this right now. If you want to say hi to people, we have Terrakitsune's in here, Catmaster, Goat Priest. Thanks, guys, for coming in and listening to me ramble for YouTube. I appreciate that. All right, it's time for me to hop off. Thanks for tuning in.